What is going on YouTube? Carter here. Got another video for you. We are going to be taking a look at a spectacular knife coming out of China, manufactured and designed by Kubey Knives. I'm not sure if it's an in-house designer or somebody that they've commissioned to do this work, or if this design was sold to them by another manufacturer, but it is a Chinese produced and designed knife, and it is one of my favorite fidget go-to flippers for some reason. It's not particularly impressive in terms of materials. You know, there's no Damascus or zirconium, but it's an overall super solid knife, fun to flip, and it's got a really, really nice blade finish on it. That's really what drew me to picking this up. So I don't actually get into a lot of the Chinese manufactured design knives. A couple reasons for that. I've got a full video out there trying to articulate as best I can why that is, and it might not be exactly why you think, right? It's not a political thing. It's really just because I can't spare the brain power keeping track of all the different knives out there. It's a little overwhelming. So by sticking to America designed, or at least America designed, if not America manufactured, kind of just limits the scope of knives that are in my purview that I am paying attention to and wanting to collect and things like that. But before we get into that, go watch that video if you want the full explanation, even though I kind of summed it up pretty well right there. Let's do some size comparisons. So we've got, this is a pretty large knife, over 4-inch blade. If you compare it to the Paramilitary 2, which is my go-to kind of knife comparison, you can see that it's pretty big. It's got a little bit of length on there. You can see the blade if we match that up. Longer blade, longer handle, longer overall. Also, when you look at weight, it's quite a bit heavier. We'll take a look at that here in a minute. But let's compare it to another Chinese-produced knife. That is the Microtech Anax, produced by Reich Knives. You can see how much the Kubey Shadow Crane dwarfs this one as well. Really just has overall quite a bit larger. But if you notice, disproportionately, this is a very economically scaled knife. You can see if you line up the pivots there, the Kubey is a little bit longer, but the handle is considerably longer. So handle to blade ratio, the Anax definitely beats it out, but still not bad on the Kubey here. On weight, you're looking at, I believe, just over 5 ounces, which I need to clear this here. There we go. 5.3 ounces. So in my opinion, full titanium frame lock, that is not too shabby. All right, let's take a look at this sucker. So what do we have here? We have a full titanium flipper frame lock. I know you never seen one of those before, right? Like, this is innovation. But it is executed quite well. Anodized titanium scales. You can see nice thick slabs. Really like the sculpting done on here. It has these milling patterns that are trying to accentuate kind of this sculpting. You can see right there. Personally, I think it would look better without these milling patterns. I kind of just like the sculpted look. The angles on there looks really cool. It's got a nice organic type feel to it. And I think I've decided that generally I like more organic designs rather than what's the word I'm looking for? Geographical? No. You know, angular. Like, come on, what am I thinking of? It'll come to me right when I shut off this video. It always does. But yeah, I like kind of curves and soft edges as opposed to sharp, angular design language. Personally, that's just me. There's a lot of cool knives out right now that are very futuristic, I guess you would call it. But not really my cup of tea. I kind of like this organic feel myself. Sculpted titanium pocket clip right there. Not deep carry, not shallow, just kind of right in that middle ground, which I actually like. I don't mind a little bit of knife peeking out of my pocket. Some people don't. Some people want it to be completely buried. But I don't mind a little bit. Gives me something to grab onto, and then sometimes people see it and they ask about my knife, and we can start a cool conversation. So it doesn't bother me in the slightest. can see the pivot right there. I believe that's a KB. I don't know if that's for Kubey or what exactly that stands for. Titanium lock bar with a steel insert, built-in over travel. It's running on bearings, kind of your standard fare. Titanium backspacer. It's got a gear pattern milled into it. Looks pretty nice. Minimal screws, just two holding that body together. And of course the pivot. Nice placement on the flipper. It's got some texturing on the top, some jimping, if you will, right there. Really easy to access. Fires like a rocket. Closes really nice. When you get this thing oiled up, it is super smooth. Breaks in more and more every day that I play with it. Detent is nice and solid. There's no wiggle on the blade. It doesn't move around. There's no sloppiness. It is just rock solid. Now, moving into the blade, which is my favorite part, you can see the Kubey branding right there with the Ninja Spaceman. Let me wipe this off. It gets a little bit greasy from the hands. Beautiful blade profile. Nice upswept curve right there. This is an M390 blade. It's got this nice kind of almost reverse swedge on the top here. I don't know what you'd call this exactly. But my favorite part on this blade is the hand rubbed finish. I think it looks really, well, I say hand rubbed. I don't think it's hand rubbed. I think it's machine rubbed. But whatever they did, it looks really good, and it looks like a hand-rubbed custom finish. I think, if I remember right, I've owned this for years. I bought it secondhand. I believe that was the main thing that I liked about it, was this blade finish. It just looks really, really nice. And at this price point, you just don't typically see that kind of finish on there. Super usable, super utilitarian. You can place your finger up in this little cutout swedge. There's no jimping or any grip texture right there, but it allows you to kind of apply some pressure to the front of the blade so that you can bear down, get some cutting done. Jimping on the back here, not too aggressive. So if you like less aggressive, then this is right up your alley. Just overall, a beautiful, beautiful blade. So if you passed on this one, I would recommend picking it up if you can. I think you can buy it new from retailers. A lot of these manufacturers, they produce so many models, it's easy for really standout ones to fall through the crack. And I guess if there's one purpose of this video, it's to kind of show this model in case you haven't heard of it and in case you're interested, because this isn't necessarily something that you're going to run across now. There's been so many models, so many knives that have come out from Kubey Knives that it's easy for this one to get lost in the shuffle. So check it out. Shadow Crane from Kubey Knives. It is a standout knife. Highly recommend. See you guys later.